The thing about crowds is that Rocket League isn't the same esport without them.
When you see the crowd, you realize everyone wants you to succeed and everyone's cheering for you. I kind of made it, in a sense, at that point.
You know, you're in this crazy, intense environment when you're doing well, and then the game's over, the ball drops, and you step outside your computer and you're just in your room. And when you're at a LAN, it's completely different.
You really like feel the arena shaking and like the vibrations of everybody yelling.
You're used to in the game hearing the crowd, but then it's like a real crowd. The sound of the alpha boost is incredible.
It takes you to a whole nother place. It's an entirely different way to view Rocket League.
Carrying it over, they can put it in! So many questions left, but when a shot like that off the backboard,
but then there's still like a respect, right? We are all under the umbrella of Rocket League. So we are all a family, but brothers butt heads. You got to. Like, that's what makes it exciting.
It is so difficult to watch the person that you love compete because there's nothing that you can do to change the outcome of what they're playing.
I used to work in the furniture industry. Then this game comes out, Rocket League, car soccer. And before you know it, we're having this, what was to me a massive LAN. Now looking back on it, it was a small nightclub.
You know, everyone there was super excited to be there.
Yeah, I remember Cloudfield having to break down like 12 PCs and chairs and tables and move them out of the way. And then in the morning, everything would have to get set up again.
People were still cheering at season one. A couple of people would jump out of the seats, but it was definitely isolated and people felt reserved. They're like, can I be doing this?
They had screens set up on the side of the wall. And like every time there was a goal, there would be goal on the side of the screens and you'd have the pictures of all the players. And I was thinking, we made it. This is tier 1 esports.
I think that most of the crowd and most of the audience were behind Kronovi and behind IBP Cosmic.
Even if you were a North American fan at the time, you knew who Flipside was, and they were the big bad team walking into that tournament.
Able to drop it back into the box. Mike's up for this one to try and drop it in front, and there's 4-0.
I was getting teary-eyed about Crow actually win this because they weren't supposed to do anything at that LAN.
Power, not things you usually talk about at the same time. He's carrying it. Kronovi, they can put it in!
So him to come out and put on that performance, it was just magical.
It truly was a special event. Still, to me, the most special Rocket League event that I've ever been to, just because it was the first one and how many people were a part of it.
Season 2 was a great setup, unless you were sitting in the very front seats. That was... Your neck was definitely doing one of these the whole time.
We had a stage at the bottom, and then it's just a ramp up of crowd. So it was like a wall of a crowd. So I think that was pretty hard for a lot of the NA teams.
There was an interview that I did that I wasn't quite ready for, and it was kind of embarrassing.
I think when we set our mind to things, and
the problem was when I talked, I could hear single thing I was saying, and then it threw me off.
Do you feel that now that you have won a game?
So my very first appearance didn't work out very well. Thankfully, nobody was talking about my commentary because everybody was talking about my hands. Yet the crew around me, both talent, production-wise, and even the crowd when we finally got over to Amsterdam, made me feel so comfortable.
I thought it was going to be a couple of mates laughing at some Rocket League. You know, it'd get out of my system, then I'd never go to one again. But it was unbelievable.
Season 2, there was loads of chance for Flipside. But probably the first one would have been Marky's.
It was by Gregan and Doomsy. They were a few rows ahead. They were the cool kids sitting with Snasky. And they ended up chanting, "We love you, Marky. We do da." That was the mother chant. That is what started everything off.
It's so dumb.
It was very tense because, you know, all the fans and all the people wanted to see Flipside do well. You're watching them in the lower bracket. It's scary.
Rolls himself in.
Back
off the
inside.
back line. Gets
We already knew. We were just waiting for the moment.
Season 2 absolutely felt like the first of many. As soon as I was inside that room with Rocket League lovers, with casters, with the loud booming sound every time a car hit the ball, and I just felt like I was in my element, I knew that one way or another, this would not be the only RLCS LAN that I would attend.
It was a small place, Season 3. The WILTERN Theater. It was like only like 3,000, 3,500 people. I don't remember. But I've never seen a theater that's like that big, like actually be filled with people.
That theater was awesome.
Just being there and the energy was so dope and it was all new and fresh. I've never been to a LAN.
Yeah, definitely in Season 3, it was an NA biased crowd.
The NRG win over Flipside had a massive crowd reaction because the Garrett G double mind game was just such a sick play.
Garrett G moves up, the screen plays, they pull up the demolition! It's a 3-goal game!
As the event went on and NA teams started falling out, it definitely, you know, was, you know, clear that, you know, the crowd didn't know who to root for anymore.
That's when we see OCE come out, so we start getting those underdog stories as well.
People root for OCE teams because they're bad.
6-0, and this is over.
And when Yummy did the whole thing with like the drink the brisk and the crowd went nuts.
There's that chase, there it goes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yummy did not feel better afterwards, so I'll tell you that much.
Alpha Sydney were suddenly Alpha Los Angeles because they were definitely the fan favorites. I think it was mostly because James Bond said he would have a pie dumped on his face if Alpha Sydney got a single win.
I was so convinced that they would not win anything in Los Angeles that I straight up said, if they do it, you can pie me in the face. And well, sure enough. Oh, that's funny.
It was a mix of people wanting OCE teams to do well, also a mix of wanting to see James get pied in the face. I would do that any day of the week, by the way. I just want that to be very obvious.
I could barely hear myself sitting in the crowd and everyone just going wild whenever NRG would take the stage.
We wanted it to last forever. We wanted more games. Just more games. Just put on anything. Put on any Rocket League games. We don't care. High school. Do high school Rocket League games live for us right now. Like, we'll get into it.
Once you got to Season 4 and the stadium size doubled, then it was much harder for the crowd to stand out. That's where the Americans, the audiences are the best too. They always have these great props. They're dressed up. They have signs. They're a funny bunch.
Yeah, my first RLCS LAN at Season 4, it was like a crazy experience. Like when you walk up on the stage, it's so much different than any other LAN you've been to. You can feel the crowd. You don't just see it, you don't just hear it, like you feel the crowd.
NA crowd started to get a little bit more invested into their own side, especially because Europe had won the last two.
That was the LAN where Squishy hit his ceiling shot.
Oh, yes. Squishy's goal was insane.
Cloud9, unable to take it, but Squishy now with a ceiling shot, he puts it through!
It felt like we had gone up a level in gameplay.
I think that was a huge moment for a lot of those fans because it was an opportunity to be like, yo, we're awesome. You know what I mean?
People still come into my Twitch chat every day and tell me like, how did you feel when Squishy scored that amazing ceiling shot against you in Season 4? I'm like, yeah, we said it was a nice shot. We felt the crowd, everyone went crazy, and then we won the game and then we won the series. So it didn't really affect us anymore at that point.
I remember watching that final and being like, wow, you know, at the time, players are really getting good at playing Rocket League.
This is the season I actually heard one of the staff members audibly cheer. As I'm walking past, I hear the crowd go, hey! And then I hear the guy behind me, I'm walking past, just go, yes! And I look around, he just goes, like, mate, I heard you. You're allowed to do that. There was a moment in the green room that I turned around and just went, guys, you're not ready. You don't understand what a London crowd is going to be like.
The crowd, more than any other LAN at that point, became a living organism.
I don't think there's been anything more exciting in my life than hearing a chant ripple around a crowd and then going back and watching it and chat. They're reacting to the chants.
You'd get up with everyone, you'd chant something for 30 seconds, you'd sit back down, wait 2 or 3 seconds, and then you'd have the most intense splitting headache of your life, and then suddenly Devo would score a worldie.
Nobody from NRG was taking the bait. Devo up high. That is going to drop down fire, but it will not be there!
And you're like, right, fine, back to it then.
RLCS Season 5 was, for me, the first time OC had a home crowd.
I've just got one last thing to say to this crowd. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
Everybody could hear a clap, an Icelandic clap, and get involved, and everybody did.
A great day. So much celebration of OC right now.
I don't know, I just love the British humor. So my favorite chant was the Squishy Malphus one, where it was, we sell you at Greg's, we sell you at Greg's. Squishy Muffins, we sell you at Greg's.
I'm assuming it's some kind of grocery store. I could put 2 and 2 together.
It like overwhelms you pretty much.
I was about to interview, but it got so loud that I legitimately started to not be able to hear myself. And I'm like, well, at this point, I don't have control of the show. The audience has control.
It's such a good memory to think about afterhand, but in the moment it felt like so overwhelming, a little bit surreal, you know.
The Pirates theme for freaking the Corrupted G was amazing.
Dun, 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 dun.
You can see Twitch chat from the live feed just going, what is that? What is that? Oh, it's Pirates of the Caribbean! It's Captain Jack!
You're almost working together to make this atmosphere, to bring the gameplay to the highest level possible. And sometimes that's humor.
Devo into the corner. You can hear the crowd. Big fans of this announcer in the game.
Something about 0 seconds in Rocket League is really special. When you go to the LANs, everyone does the oh.
It just makes it 10 times more exciting. And then when something really hype happens,
and you knew what was coming. Everybody did, and the fact that it was on 0 seconds and all the other factors going in, it just made it an insanely special one.
Bounces into the corner! NRG just ahead there for the shot!
I remember looking on Twitter and being like, what's this? This is Rocket League, because in the stands, there was no hearing anything. Like, it was just pandemonium.
We were all excited, but then after they got scored on, I jumped out my chair, slapped my chair. I was mad. I've watched a lot of esports at home, but nothing's ever gotten that much of an emotional reaction out of me. And it's just like that type of energy from the crowd brings in any viewer, whether you're watching at home or you're there.
Once the grand finals was done, Showmom pulled me to the side. I think we managed to find the one quiet spot entire venue. It was like underneath some stairs, pulled me into a hug and just started weeping at that time. I was like, yes, this is like actually as cool as I ever wanted my life to be.
If you were in the right spot, you could totally see the vibe change.
First of all, you're in NA, and second of all, you're in Vegas, and people are just like, oh yeah? You want to see energy? And like, they just go off.
A lot of people give flack to the American crowds, but once you have somebody out front leading the chants, they're just as good, if not better, than a lot of the EU crowds as well.
There were storylines when it came to the actual teams that started to change the audience.
When Cloud9 started to get all the momentum, then people were like, yeah, they're going for this. But even they had like a rough beginning.
Looking for the clear at this point. Is Cloud9's gonna be suffocated. I will finish it. Gimmick, the rare miss on the wall, and We Dem Girls takes the victory.
So when C9 started to make that run through the lower bracket, I feel like it was kicked off by an NA bias, for sure.
I think it was a buildup of all like those emotions and all that angst. I don't even know if angst is the word, but it just exploded.
North Americans were very, very eager for a win, and Cloud9 was a very easy team to get behind if you're a North American fan. Even if you hadn't liked Cloud9 before that point, you could see their run and be like, oh my gosh, this is it. They're my team now.
But when it got to the grand final, that just didn't seem real because the way that they were beating Dignitas, it's something that we'd never seen before.
I was kind of just watching it. I was like, yeah, sure, you styled on people in this semifinal round, but like Dignitas is just gonna crush you because you're not gonna have that space. And whew, wrong.
Knew was saying Cloud9, they were saying Cloud9 where people outside the stadium could hear them. I'll say that much.
I was super excited that we were going to a hockey arena because I have always most closely associated Rocket League with hockey.
Like, I personally love hockey, and I feel like it was a hockey atmosphere there.
Fans are so fun because it's like when you meet fans are biased, right? Fans have favorite players. And so it's fun to hear them be like, oh man, I really hate G2. Like, I can't stand them. As an NRG fan, they disgust me. That kind of stuff cracks me up.
There were more kids at NA, which brought its own level of excitement because they're going to be a little less restrained.
I think it was a lot of fun for me personally, seeing the family atmosphere as well as that crowd just going crazy. Like, you know, we see players going out there like, I want to meet Squishy or whatever, and like tons of meet and greets. And I think that's what was really special about that one.
I really do think that these LANs, you know, letting parents bring their kids, a lot of times they like watching Rocket League just as much as the kid does.
You know, they did the wave for like 20 minutes. You know, you don't just get, you know, lame fans to do that.
Oh, I remember the wave. That should have been a record. That should have been an official record.
I mean, I've been to a lot of sporting events that it was nothing like that. I mean, this was a crazy fan event, let alone an esport event.
If anyone's crazy and willing to dedicate enough time for something as asinine as the longest Mexican wave at a live event, it's going to be Rocket League people.
We did it! And then we get to that grand final, and it's G2, the North American fan favorite, going up against Vitality, the EU powerhouse.
People did see us winning, but they did see us as the underdogs as well going into that because Vitality had just won so much anyway.
I'm not okay. My heart's going crazy. I want them to do well, and I'm just in a manic state.
The underdog story of like, oh my god, they might actually do it or something was just huge for people to be able to root for.
And it wasn't up until the point where I believe Scrub scored a game to tie it up.
He's under one. Very Peak carrying this to get it up into the back wall. Scrub killer scores. 0 seconds. Unbelievable.
Do you remember the 0-second goal that Vitality got versus G2?
No, I tried to, etch that all out of my memory.
And I think that's hard for a team in NA when you have an NA crowd behind you to feel that crowd energy just deflate. Because you have to try and not deflate as well.
If that was me, I'd be crying. I'd be on the floor, emotional. But with him, he's very honest with himself in the sense where if you don't play your best, you didn't play your best.
I think occasionally Scrub would hear the crowd and that would almost like motivate him a bit more. But yeah, they were so focused. I don't think anything was going to stop him that day.
Season 8 was just an absolute party.
We all got the lower seats, we sat in the pit, and we just went mental for a weekend.
That's where all the hardcore fans that go to every single LAN and all know each other. You see people mingling, shaking hands, what's up, hugging each other.
Myself and Cole, we led a yoga class at one point, a very impromptu one. We also held a dance party where we were then doing some ballroom dancing, and some people started break dancing right in front of the stage, which was awesome.
There was Spanish casting in the venue. I just really enjoyed just listening to Spanish casting. I just think it's awesome.
Favorite crowd moments, probably the long overtime in the semi-finals between Dignitas and Vitality at Season 8.
I think a ball popped up in front of Dignitas's net in overtime, and it was K-Dop who went up for a shot. And K-Dop doesn't really miss.
There was even the moment where they just randomly started cheering when there was no significant moment in the game. They were just cheering for good Rocket League, and it gave me so many goosebumps at the time. Just thinking about it, I'm getting goosebumps.
I mean, when you get a Vitality NRG final, you really can't complain.
We go across and we hug out NRG, and I think Garrett G was the first one, and just seeing how overwhelmed he was, I think both me and Ferry Peak were like his biggest supporter at the time. We're like, we're so proud of you, Garrett.
Everybody in the crowd was so elated for him because the esport benefited from him winning. That is so unique.
That's kind of what the takeaway of this is for me, is that I think the best crowds are the ones that just respect all the teams and respect all the players.
It feels kind of like a dream, almost like this, just having the crowd behind you and the players there and have this amazing event, and it just feels like surreal almost.
You have a quiet crowd, or even boos or cheers because your region lost. You know, it definitely would have completely changed how that event would have been remembered. So kudos to the crowd.
We were selling out that Dallas thing in just hours, and the esport as a whole was gaining momentum, and this felt like a real punch in the leg that knocked us over, tripped us, and we landed on our face.
Yeah, the one thing I guess that the community is always saying in regards to Season 9 Season 9 LAN being cancelled is that that's the one that got away from G2. That's the one that got away from Rizzo.
Especially because we had the really good run in Season 7. Season 8, we absolutely flopped. And it was kind of like our comeback tour. Like, we were ready to go to that LAN and just absolutely take over.
You know, we all know that that's not the case. It's obviously just, you know, copium from the NA fans once again.
You know, you're at home, it just doesn't hit the same. It doesn't hit the same being able to be together with people, watching Rocket League, getting excited, having fun, and it just leads to like a lot of like fun, memorable experiences. And you know, that's key for a lot of us, because a lot of us, like I said, you know, a lot of us are kind of like family to each other, and that's big.
It doesn't feel like the same as RLCS Worlds or something, because there isn't a crowd, or there isn't the same atmosphere.
Now that we're back with crowds for the Winter Major, it means that Rocket League's got its soul back.
It's gonna be amazing. I might cry. I might cry.
I think it'd be actually pretty cool if BDS manages to win this one too, because I like a good dynasty.
Can I just say one thing about the USA chants? Please, let's avoid the USA chants. We all know your favorite player is Squishy, okay? And he's Canadian.
Yes, I'm going to the Winter Major. I'm here, guys. Hello. I'm sitting right there. I'll be wearing this same hoodie.
There's a real possibility that an EU team wins again. And if that happens, you know, you could go down two routes. You could just be wallowing in despair, or you could just try and look at the Rocket League and try and enjoy it.
All right, so favorite chants that I want to hear is Gibbs is beautiful. No.
And if 2 years of lockdown has taught me anything, it's to make the most of these opportunities when they come along.
We will never be a crowd. We will never be the soul of this esport. We can never do that. And now that we have got that back, it cannot be understated just how important this is. There's so many variables that are going to play out at this live event, and it is all because of one thing. It's because we've got a crowd back.
Just let yourself go and have the time of your life, because it's what it's all about. And honestly, it goes by so quick that you're just like, whoa, so live it up, make it the best time possible for yourself.